Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome today. Hey, Brian, welcome. It's so great to have you. So, today we're bringing you some content on outsourcing quality. It's a great topic, and we've got some great content lined up for you. Here, I've got my colleague, Brian Patterson. Brian joins me. He's been with Quality Executive Partners for quite a number of years. Wow, Brian, it's already the years fly by, right? It's pretty amazing. But maybe you want to introduce yourself and say your role here at QXP. That would be fantastic.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Brian Patterson, and I've been a partner working in the consultant side of the business with QXP for about 3 years. I had the opportunity to work with Vanessa on a great project a couple years ago that sort of touches on some of the areas where we're going to focus today, particularly as it pertains to outsourcing quality and some of the areas where organizations may decide that they need to outsource specific quality functions. Glad to be here and talk on this topic with you.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to have the opportunity to chat with you. I know you're a quality expert and fellow microbiologist, so yeah, I can't wait to hear all that you can bring. For those of you who don't know me already, there's not that many, but I'm Vanessa Figueroa, the Executive Director of Microbiology and Stability Assurance at QXP, and also Content Manager at Virtuosi. So really happy to be here and dive into this series. So, as I indicated, it's going to be our intention is a 6-part series. We're going to introduce the topic of outsourcing quality now, but we'll have 6 follow up topics throughout the blog series to talk about what is a virtual quality company, what does outsourcing microbiology and microbiological testing look like, then we have auditing and supplier quality inspections and oversight, which is always a juicy topic. We're going to talk also about the outsourcing, the development of a contamination control strategy, which is all the rage right now. And then we're going to talk about raw material testing, how and when it's appropriate to outsource that, and why that's a common one that people typically outsource. And then last but certainly not least, we're going to discuss learning and knowledge management and program development. And if it's appropriate to do that as an outsourcing group, when and how and why. So that's our 6-part series. But Brian, maybe you can kick us off with outsourcing quality. I
Sure.
really like to level set. What is outsourcing quality? How do we define that? What's the topic all about?
Sure. Well, let's just start with the FDA's definition. The FDA defines outsourcing quality as the hiring of a second party to perform those functions that would be inherent to a manufacturing organization's responsibility. Sort of paraphrase it in that way. So when we're talking about outsourcing quality, we're talking about certain facets that we could outsource quality, certainly as it pertains to quality control testing. I know that's a topic we're going to cover by itself because it's, so widely adopted within the pharmaceutical industry or the manufacturing industry. Batch record review. Certainly, when it comes to investigation, oversight, and management, that's an area where firms may choose to outsource individuals basically to perform those functions as it pertains to investigations. Protocol development, validation work is a commonly outsourced
Cleaning.
facet and area. Cleaning validation, and certainly third party testing, like stability testing, is one of those areas that's commonly outsourced. And there's a few reasons why organizations choose to do this. Number one is there are a lot of organizations whose specialty is to perform those functions. So it may be cost effective for a firm or manufacturing organization to decide that they want to outsource certain facets of it. That comes with those organizations that have training to be able to do that in this case. So there's a cost savings associated with it where you're not hiring an organization internally to be able to do that. And that there may be a speed and agility factor associated with that, particularly when we're talking about development, clinical work. Oftentimes that is outsourced to individuals whose responsibility is to scale up manufacturing, processes. So in that account, that just sort of touches on some of those areas or examples where a firm may choose to outsource some quality functions.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sort
Yeah,
of
of course.
level setting us on what outsourcing quality is. I think that in a globalized world, I think just coming out of a pandemic, it
Yeah.
feels fresh, but I guess a year or two ago, the way that people are doing business and that dynamic is changing. it's evolving. And I think it's making sense that certain aspects of your quality system can be outsourced. Of course, it's
Sure.
not like your first go-to, but that's once you're in true manufacturing. But
Yeah.
before you even get to manufacturing, we're going to talk through some examples and when it makes sense to stand up a virtual quality group or,
Right.
like you said, outsourced development,
Yeah.
and for a lot of different reasons. So I look forward to those conversations. So, um, assuming you make the choice
Mhm.
to outsource a function or an aspect of your quality system, how do you control what you as the manufacturer is responsible for and what the actual company that you're outsourcing that function to? What sort of helps build that trust and control and manage those operations?
That's an absolutely great question. So there's an agreement aspect to this. You always have to have an operational agreement, but more importantly than that, you need to have an approved quality agreement that's signed by both parties that level sets the responsibilities so that you each understand the functions that are going to be outsourced. I can't underestimate the importance of having an approved quality agreement. And beyond that, good communication. So, because you have a quality agreement in place doesn't mean that you cede all responsibilities necessarily to that function. You really have to have good communication, proper check ins. The quality agreement should set those types of check ins as well. There are certain facets of an outsourced quality function that may not be ideal to outsource. So, you may have a third party perform manufacturing and they may do batch record review and release, but the ultimate decision to release to market and or for patient use or access is always the responsibility of the firm that chose to outsource that function. You can never cede that responsibility. I think that's fundamental. So quality agreement really covers, it should cover every facet that you want that function to undertake. So, what does their document management and controls look like? Batch review and release, environmental controls, supplier quality, receiving and inspection, the laboratories, product process validation, equipment, systems controls, facility maintenance, sanitization, complaint management, adverse events, and even should touch on things like, okay, what about disaster recovery? There was an incident, on the east coast of North Carolina where there was a tornado strike at a manufacturing facility that overnight, basically removed 25% of the United States' injectable generics. So
Wow.
how do we deal with those things from a quality function perspective? Other things like nonconformance, OOS. So you really outline the responsibilities of the individual that is outsourcing the quality as well as the individual that's providing that contract to do so. Every function has to be covered that way. There's no gray area with respect to this.
I love that. And I think the key component is that there are a lot of quality agreements out there.
Right,
You and I have been on the negotiating end for those agreements, and we've seen a whole spectrum of mature agreements. I think that one of the take homes that I've learned in my career is that don't take a standard template quality.
right, right,
It could be a good starting place, but you could get in a lot of trouble if you don't have the right SMEs involved, the right legal and regulatory framework for your quality agreement.
right.
So start off at a template if that's what you think is best, or if your organization has a global template. That global template is really a jumping
Yeah,
point. From there, you have to really put your brain to power here. You have to say, okay, what is it exactly I want them to do for me? The extent of which, how are things being documented, right?
right.
What happens when things go wrong? So, all the things that you mentioned, put a little common sense into the development of your quality agreement, and I think you'll go really, really far because we've seen a lot of inadequate ones, to put it, sort of politically
Yeah,
correct. And we've seen clients get into, difficult situations where, data's lost
right,
or samples are gone, they cannot be retested, or batch records don't have the type of data that you need in order to make that release. So be prescriptive, go beyond the template, and make sure that you have the responsibility of the function, not just the execution of the function in that quality agreement. So
Agreed completely. And that even goes so far as to create attachments which has maybe points of contact of individuals,
Yeah,
so that you have that constant communication. And again, you can't just have a quality agreement in place. You've got to go to the site. Now, when we're talking about virtual quality organizations, there may not be a brick and mortar kind of facility to work it with, but face to face meetings are critical. Anyone may tell you that they could do anything, that they want for you, that you may need.
it's business.
Um, yeah, it's a business. Let's not forget. Quality is a business in and of itself. So I think it's important to really meet face to face and periodically to do so as well to make sure that things are running well. And so, we often live in an age of, let's just say, Zoom meetings, like
Yeah,
essentially right now.
for sure.
But it's, I really, if you have the opportunity to see that person, you can really sort of read what's working, what's not working. And when it comes to outsourcing quality related manufacturing function, there is a physical space to go see. So it's, important for the contract provider to be able to go periodically and see what's going on.
Yeah, great. I love that. I think um, it's quality is such an integrated aspect of every part of our business, as it should
Yep.
be. So quality is not a single department or an
Right.
entity, or not one group is responsible for it
Right.
per se. And to think that something is so precious and so important to a company's, you know, ethos, and to
Right.
outsource that, you're in a vulnerable place, right?
Right.
Because you're saying this is an aspect of my business which I want others to take a role in. So I think that's fantastic. So outsourcing quality and all the things, all the examples that you would need to do it right are coming up in this vlog series. So thanks for teasing the virtual company. I think that's our first 10-minute segment. So I look forward to talking about that next.
Awesome.